Hey guys, it's Merrick, and in this one I have another Vanguard build order here. This one is Probe's Safe Expand. It was posted in the build orders a long time ago by the StarCraft player Probe, and after talking with him, he gave me permission to give a basic build order on it and do a quick video. As opposed to the Fast Expand, where you go for a command post first, this one builds a barracks and a habitat to wall off your main, and then you can either place the sentry post in a safe defensive position in your main, or more aggressively out by your natural, depending on what you scout. You want to keep making workers, and then when you have 200 Luminite with a worker in production, then you want to go take 2 bobs and go make a barracks out at your ramp. Both of these ramps are slightly different, so if you're not sure how to make a ramp for the other base, you can go check my How to Fast Expand and Wall the Ladder map video. It's pretty much at the end. You can skip the entire first half of the video, where I show how to wall off on both sides to make sure that your bigger units can get out later. But you pull your 2 workers at about 11, you make the barracks, and then you get prepared to also make a habitat, which will give you a quick wall off. You should be scouting with your doggo to see what you need to be worried about. If you need to be worried, you can put your sentry post up here on your ramp, just like these 2 buildings are. If you don't have to be worried, you can do what I do and just build it early out by your expansion to help bird defend in case there is an early pressure you didn't see. But because I'm greedy, I'm sending my 2 bobs down to get an early sentry post out by my expansion to cover the Luminite, and then I'm going to keep making bobs, make a Lancer when I'm able to, and then once I hit 10 workers on my main, I'm going to start rallying to Therium, because I'm going to rally those 2 bobs that are creating the sentry post back up into the main. And from there, you basically just keep making workers until you have about 300 minerals, and then you're going to take all of the bobs off of the Therium and 2 of the bobs off of the Luminite and run them down to go make your command post with an overcharge. This opening is pretty non-committal. You can go either into bio or mech, but because I did my last one showing how to do a hedgehog opener, I'm going to follow this up with a bio transition. The reasons you'd want to do this safer expand as opposed to the fast expand that StarCraft players are so addicted to is because there's actually, in the Vanguard versus Vanguard matchup, an incredibly aggressive dog opener that can hit about 240, and if you're not prepared or not set up properly, you can be caught off guard doing the other one. But I have a Lancer at the wall that I will eventually pull down to put into the turret. I have a second Lancer being made to plug the hole in said wall when that happens, and then we're just rallying workers to Therium while we wait for enough money to go down and make our expansion. This wasn't the cleanest execution. Ideally, I would have let this worker finish before I pull, and then pulled all 5 workers with an overcharge to go make this expansion, but it's not that huge of a mistake, just something to be aware of when you're doing it yourself. Because I pulled a little too early, I actually also wound up stopping bob production momentarily, just to make sure that you let that extra worker come out, queue up another one, and then pull your workers so you can get a little bit of a cleaner thing than me. It's not a huge issue, but RTS games like this are generally death by 1,000 cuts, so I did unnecessarily put myself very slightly behind. From here, I'm just going to continue making workers. Once I hit 12 on Luminite in my main, I'm going to start rallying those workers onto Therium. We are still going to be going for a faster third, so we are just basically banking up money and working on getting production up while we do that. I put it on the aggressive AI rather than just putting no AI in there, because that way you can see that this will survive a little bit of pressure, and it kind of makes you pay attention rather than just doing nothing. So they come in with a handful of dogs, followed by a handful of Lancers. Against a real player, this would be grouped up, but a Bob overcharge would definitely be enough to deal with this. If they try to push into the main like this, you can pull the Bobs and just sandwich them in between. If they try to fight your Bobs down at the expansion, you can just repair the Lancer turret, and you're pretty safe from most of these early aggressions. Around the time this early pressure is fended off, the second barracks is up, and so is my biokinetics lab. I want to go get an expansion, and the way you're supposed to do that with this build is you're supposed to pull the bobs off of the Therium to go get the expansion. But because I have the biokinetics lab coming up, I make sure that I have 100 Therium when I pull them. That way I can get that upgrade rolling and make our Lancers very strong. It times out pretty well, and I pull the bobs right as that ends, and we're just about ready to go make the expansion. Although, yet again, I pulled a second too early. I should have let another set of bobs get set up, because as soon as I put down the expansion, I actually have to cut bob production for a moment or two. It's the small things in the game. But with the third command post going down, that's pretty much it for the opener. You'd also want to make sure that once you have 12 workers on Luminite at your main and or natural, that you start rallying onto Therium, As you get more workers on your Luminite at your third, it'll be time to add in the third barracks, but you want to make sure that you don't forget your command post level 2 upgrade, so that way you can add in med techs and eventually be able to transition even into adding mech bays and all that. In this game, I got kind of bored and I finally went out to go get creeps here. This is a good time to go do that because you've just negated some pressure, but because this was against an AI, it's not always going to be guaranteed that they are going to be available for you to grab if you're playing against a real player. If you haven't dealt with any pressure yet, it's actually relatively dangerous to go out and creep here because you are busy expanding, which means you don't have a whole lot of army resources just yet, and if somebody had been doing a 2-base buildup or potentially even a 1-base buildup, they could hit you right now while you're relatively weak, and if your army's out in the middle of the map, you could just die. Just because this build opens up as a bio opener and does bio through the early and early mid stages doesn't mean that you can't also, once you get more Therium income, put down a mech bay and add in some Vulcans or something like that, but this is a primarily bio-focused opener, and you're probably going to want to do something between relatively either using exos or medtechs, or eventually getting both. Last thing is, don't forget to build some additional sentry posts by your expansions to make sure that you don't immediately lose them to any run-bys or pressure, but other than that, that is the general gist of this opener. It was created by Probe, the StarCraft player, who has also been playing a lot of Vanguard and Stormgate. He gave me permission to do a quick video on this one, like I said, but he's going to be making his own videos on a bunch of guides and builds on his own YouTube, so make sure to go check that out. But for now, that's all I got here. Let me know what you do like, let me know what you don't like, let me know what you think so I can improve my videos moving forwards. I hope you guys enjoy the Stormgate beta during the Steam Next Fest, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time.